Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to, I guess, officially day 2 of High Point Market. My name is Neil McKenzie. I'm the Senior Vice President of Marketing here at Universal. And if it's your first time to our space, thank you for coming in. If you've been here all day, even better. There's a ton to see here. The building's 115,000 square feet, 3 floors. On floor 3, we have our new introduction with Coastal Living Magazine called Weekender, which I would highly encourage you to go take a look at. On floor 2, we have some great in-stock looks with Miranda Kerr Home and Modern Farmhouse. And then on the first floor, which we're on, we have our special order upholstery offering, which is shipping out of Conover, North Carolina in 6 to 8 weeks. And you can customize all of those things online. Also, everything in the showroom has a tag on it. So if you want to see and explore all of the showroom, just check in at the front desk afterwards and they'll be happy to send you on your way. But they can also give you a little handheld scanner so you can scan all the things that you love. And then when you check out, you get an email that'll just contain everything that you scanned with all the pricing information. It lets you know if it's in stock. So super easy, just kind of remember what you saw, what you liked. So, and we encourage lots of scanning. So you're in the Learning Center. We are hosting a number of events this week here, 16 events over 5 days. And we do record them all. So if there's something that you signed up for that you missed, you will get an email with the recordings of those events. Give us about a week after market and you'll get those. But they cover a number of different topics that hopefully allow you to think about your business and think about how you can make your business better and hopefully make your lives easier. Also, I failed to mention that also on the first floor is the Designer's Lounge. So there's some fun things happening in there. We have a Bubbles mixologist session this afternoon. So if you want to have an afternoon pick-me-up, that's a good place to start. And there is also the Beauty Bar, which is part of the Designer's Lounge. So if you need a little hair touch-up before you hit the town this evening, please feel free to take advantage of some of those. So lots of fun things happening and very excited to have a great panel here talking about sales ecosystem, I believe. And Nicole Kasich is going to be your moderator and kind of introduce everybody. But thank you again for coming. And if we can help you, again, just check in at the front desk afterwards and have a great market.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As you mentioned, sorry, am I a little loud here? Okay. We're going to be talking about the sales ecosystem, but especially as it relates to marketing and digital marketing. I'm Nicole Kasich. I'm head of strategy for a design partnership. A design partnership is a communications company that really focuses on public relations, partnerships, social media, and digital marketing. I am going to let everybody go ahead and introduce themselves really quickly. If you guys just quick 10 seconds want to say your name, your company, where you're located at, then we'll go ahead and we'll jump in.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amber Guyton. My company is Blessed Little Bungalow, started as a content creator and grew into an interior design firm, and I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia.
Hi, I'm Amy Forshoe. My business is Proximity Interiors, and we are based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We do a lot at the Jersey Shore and in Florida, actually.
Joshua Smith, and with Joshua Smith Inc. I'm based on the East Coast, working kind of from New York all the way up to Vermont, and then which is where I live, and then I also work on the West Coast. So I'm all over the place, everywhere USA.
And my name is Lance Thomas of Thomas Guy Interiors, and my main hub is in Louisiana.
Hi, I'm Karen Wolf. Green light.
Hi, I'm Karen Wolf from Kane Co-Living, recently rebranded from Karen B. Wolf Interiors, and I have a retail store and also a design business in New Jersey. But we work also Shore and New York, Tri-State.
Amazing. Well, before we jump right in, a little bit about the sales and marketing ecosystem. So depending on where you're at in your business, you might be able to apply a few of these or all of these different components to your sales ecosystem, whether that's public relation, digital advertising, partnerships, networking, social media, affiliate marketing, all of these different components. It's hard for someone just to jump in and start doing all of this at once, especially if you're a startup or a brand new company. But depending on where you're at in your business, adding each of these on along the way will really help you guys grow your business in different capacities. So without further ado, let me jump in. These are questions, general questions for anyone who wants to jump in. What is your biggest challenge related to digital marketing?
I'll go ahead and get started. I think a lot of us as creatives, just the idea and notion of digital marketing is scary because it's a lot of things that we don't typically do that much. We're here to create, make beautiful spaces. We do all of those things. Our clients are loving everything that we're doing. And all of a sudden it's, okay, now how do we get other people to see it? And then that's where it kind of just stops. So I think for us as designers, having a team surrounded by you that does a lot of the heavy lifting really allows you to focus on what you do best. Because nowadays with this digital age, like it really is, it's a full-time job in itself. And if you're a small firm like myself, you have to have an extra pair of hands, eyes, legs, arms. I mean, you need bodies to help kind of push that forward. Mm-hmm. So I think this is super crucial for especially people in our industry because we're just not trained to be that kind of thinking.
For sure.
I'll second that. And then because I was going to say that it's time,
right?
There's only so many hours in the week. And if your primary income revenue source at the moment is all coming from your interior design clients, then if you try to tackle on all those other things, there's just not enough time in the day. It's basically like running two companies.
Right.
And so really being strategic about where you want to start and then getting the support is definitely worth the investment. I was afraid to do it for a while, but it freed up more time so that I could be out there doing what I do best, which is design and sell. So that's what I would say.
Yeah.
And I would say for me, it's content creation. It's a beast to continue to continually feed Instagram in particular, which is primarily the means that most interior design firms are using to attract clients and for lead generation. And with content creation, it's become even more and more personal, especially with Reels. So, I mean, I have to say, I don't really feel like showing up every day and putting my face out there. You have to get over being shy and, figuring out the balance. And I'm not really shy, but figuring out the balance between personal and business and letting people into your lives. And I was on digital media really when it began with Instagram, and it took me 5 years to get over that hurdle. So I'm really, came in late, but you can still catch up and you can still do it and be authentic and true to your message and to who you are. So those are two things. And then my third issue, or I guess, to that question is visibility. Being seen, being found, it's a huge hurdle right now, especially with Instagram's algorithms. So it's very, very difficult to attract and to, bring customers and clients to look at your feed. It's like we're all shouting right now. If you look at anybody's Instagram feed, it's filled with Reels, and you can't really cut through the clutter. So you need to use multi-channels. It's not just one channel, it's multiple facets, multi-channel marketing in order to truly integrate your social media message.
For sure. For sure. And kind of adding on to that, it's because it can be so overwhelming. Do any of you guys have a marketing hack that you wish you knew when you first started doing this that you've learned and you know now?
Not a hack, but interior design's my third career. First career, advertising sales. Then I got my MBA, and then I was in marketing for almost the next decade. So the social media and all of that, and having a call to action in your caption of your post, like all of those things already came easily to me. But I'd say like the scary part is trying to be everywhere at once. And I agree with the multi-channel. Like I love Instagram, but I also need to be on TikTok. I'm one of those senior millennials that don't like TikTok. So my virtual assistant uploads it on TikTok for me. Like there are things that I recognize the things I enjoy and the things I understand, and then you outsource the rest. But don't feel like you have to be everywhere because your clients aren't necessarily everywhere. Just make sure you show up as your authentic self on whatever channel you are on.
Absolutely. That was what I was going to say, is that I think that the biggest hack that I've learned over time is everybody feels like they have to be a certain somebody or a certain persona, and that looks really gimmicky after a while. I think that the best advice that I've seen and I've learned over the years is to be your authentic self, and that shows through more than anything else.
And I also think too, at least for me, I've found that, on weekends or things, I will stack up content and kind of get it all laid out and ready to rock so that I don't have to feel like every time I'm going to a job site, I'm having to video and walk through and do all that stuff. And, so I have all that done, and I may not release that content for 2 or 3 weeks, but at least it's there, it's piled up, and it's in small little chunks that I can then say, okay, let's do something real quick. And so it's there. I don't have to go out and try to find it and do it and, get dressed and all that good stuff. It's all kind of like, my hack is like collect. One thing I do the mood board thing. I don't know if y'all do the mood boards and put them on your Instagram or whatever. I'll do like 8 or 10, just one day to focus on doing mood boards, usually with a glass of wine. And I'll have them there ready to rock. That way, whenever it's time I need to do something just to kind of keep things moving, it's done and it's ready to go.
I think remembering to take photos wherever you go, even if it doesn't seem interesting, because you can always go back and delete them. But that gives you the content. And I find stories is better for us, and we can see who's seen the stories. And I get a lot of direct messaging through the stories, and you can be a little bit more authentic. The algorithm seems to favor for us the stories over the static posts.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I was just going to jump in there. So when I started, I didn't know the concept of an editorial calendar. I was like, what? I think it was like my 3rd year until I heard that term. But it is kind of what everyone's saying. It's about making sure that you, especially if you're using multiple channels, like for example, I have a pretty big email list and we do bi-monthly newsletters. So kind of planning that stuff out on a calendar of like 3 months in advance and making sure that we have enough content for 3 months in advance, because if I'm waiting till the last minute to write the newsletter about Earth Day or sustainability for the month, it may not happen because there may be some fire I've got to put out. So when you plan accordingly and use things like Later, there's other ones that you can use to really plan this out. It just makes it so much more. It simplifies the process, and it also makes it easier when you do outsource through an assistant or a virtual assistant that somebody's got all on the same page.
Yeah. Find a young person.
So I was also going to say that for me, besides everything they've already said, which I second, I have on the back end, I'm in design pods. And basically these are groups of designers that are supporting each other. This has been like my secret sauce. So during COVID, these groups formed, and basically you're invited into them. Somebody's an admin. I don't know how it happened. I'm in like 4 or 5. I think that my social media manager might kill me because I want like 10, I want 15. But basically it improves your engagement because it promises that you're in front of their audience, but they're commenting on you. So your engagement is constantly going up and up and up. And it's validating you because sometimes you might have like 3 likes and one comment. And basically this way you're always getting 30, 40 people at least giving you some love. So that's one thing. The other thing is I create I'm a trends person. I started in trends marketing, and I create a trends like PDF book, a lookbook. And then I use that as lead generation to then build up my email list, which is really critical. Your email list at the end of the day is what you need to build and what you want to build, because if Instagram goes away or TikTok goes away, you can't find those followers. So you want to convert them into your email list so that you forever have them. So I highly recommend creating content for lead generation. And then the third thing I was going to comment on with Later is creating editorial, not just a calendar, but buckets. Like if you are in your feed, look at basically categories of what you want to post on. So I'm always posting in certain categories like slabs, tile, styling tips, whatever those categories might be for you. And then I repeat them every month. And then I'm finding new content, art shout outs, vendor shout outs, et cetera. And then each month, that's the common theme, and I'm updating it with new information.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's jump into each individual questions here. Amber, I'll go ahead and start with you. As a social media influencer, what are some green flags and red flags to be aware of before partnering with a brand or a company?
I like to work with brands that actually reflect my style. So for example, I have a campaign next week with Mitzi. I'm going to an event later today that they're hosting a panel, and I love to use their lighting in my client projects. And so starting the relationship, it was intentional me tagging them when I used their lighting in my client spaces, but seeing the engagement of them reaching back out, other people commenting, I would comment on their comments, then Mitzi would comment, like it was organic. And I feel like if they like your style, they like you as a person, they see the success that you have from posting content with their products, they're more likely to reach out and say, hey, we would love to partner with you, etc. And so I love for my brand partnerships to feel that natural. Of course, you want to pitch certain brands that you may want to work with, and say you have a content for a campaign that you're going to do, and they kind of like butcher it, and they're like, no, take this out, style this way. Like if I can't be my authentic self, as we spoke about earlier, then it's probably not a good fit, because do you really like my work? And are you asking for 18,000 things and not giving much in return? Like it's a partnership, right? So we each get something. So I think as a green flag, it's mutually beneficial. You feel like you don't have to change anything about yourself or your client space or your own home to fit into a box. And then, yeah, red flags is the opposite.
Absolutely. I strongly believe that all money is not good money. And just because a partnership comes your way, don't be scared to pass on it if you feel like you're going to be giving up something that doesn't feel organic or natural for you or isn't really a fit, because that's going to come through and it's going to look super gimmicky. Amy, I'll go ahead and ask the next question to you. As a designer who also has a retail store, do you find it helpful to have a separate approach to marketing for each?
I would say marketing for the retail store is more product driven, a lower price point for things. We sell a lot of accessories. We sell to a lot of interior designers. They come in and shop the store. We love working with them. It's an easy, great sale. They tag us in their posts, which is great. And I would say it's a little bit different for when we're going after clients, showing client work much more custom, much more customer service, behind the scenes on how we did something or an install, a little bit higher end for sure. And the store is a little more seasonal as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Amazing. And by the way, if anybody wants to add on to any of these answers or responses or questions, please feel free.
I actually will jump on top of that. I have a retail store as well. And just like we've been saying, I think the difference between a retail marketing strategy and a design marketing strategy is being able to put up links to your online website or your Cherish or whatever it may be. And it's product driven. You are trying to sell things quickly and let people know, I've got this and this is how much it is. And you have to make sure that your messaging is very clear. So I've seen some designers that have retail stores that will post things but not put the dimensions or the price on their story of items, and it just sits dead. But we'll get a lot more engagement and interaction whenever we have, this is $6.99 and it's this dimension. And so we're looking to move and push stuff with that marketing strategy. Whereas when we're showing projects and behind the scenes, there's a little more sex appeal to it. It's cooler. It's more fun. It's got more visually beautiful images. I mean, it's definitely a different sort of strategy to take about.
Absolutely.
And I also have a retail store, and something that I'm cautious of though, when I'm promoting both, and I do have two accounts, but I'm primarily promoting the retail store on my main account. And I don't want to devalue though my design business. So I'm careful in trying to show how a product can be used in styling or used and incorporated in your interior design life, so that ultimately it's driving clients to hire us for interior design.
Amazing. Thank you. Josh, next question over to you. Talk to us a little bit about affiliate marketing. What does this mean? Who should be doing it and why?
Okay, so, well, it's a tough one. No, affiliate marketing. So if you're not really sure what that is, because there may be some newbies in here, affiliate marketing is basically where you are partnering with a company, and it's probably the company that's representing or selling products that you're passionate about and that you actually use and engage and bring into your own client projects. And what it is, like, for example, I'll just give you an example of what I'm doing right now, because that'll be the easiest way to explain it. So an example. So Saatchi Art, you might be familiar with it, right? So they reached out and we're working on a partnership where they're having me curate a collection. I'm all about wellness, health, healing, sustainable living. So it's going to be centered around meditation and like meditation spaces. So I'm curating a collection of like 40 pieces, but they in return are creating an affiliate link so that if anybody buys something that I've curated and they buy it from this page they've built for me, then I get a commission is what affiliate marketing
And you
is.
direct people to that page.
And then
through
I,
your
and then
social
I of
media.
course
Yeah.
promote that as well through my social media. So we're doing it together, but for my time and effort and the collaboration, it's passive income. And so that's kind of one of the main reasons why digital marketing is so important. It's like, yes, we only have like, 70 hours in a week to work, right? And we only can do so much with that time. So when you start to work with your digital marketing and affiliates and partnerships and licensing, you start to get this other passive income that helps support and bring in income without you having to put out much effort after you initially get it going.
Amazing. Thank you. And do you think that it's beneficial for brands to do affiliate marketing as well as interior designers for both to be doing affiliate?
That's a good question. I have not thought about that. I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine if I was to do that. I mean, if there was a retail store, perhaps, and there was a designer that comes in regularly, then it might be worthwhile for you to partner with someone to say, here's your little link that gets attached to whatever you're promoting on your social site, and then that would work that way.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. Thank you. And Lance, what do you think, in your opinion, is the number one driver of SEO and website traffic?
What's a website? I'm just kidding. So it's interesting because I think now with all the Instagrams and now TikTok and all this kind of stuff, I mean, the website has kind of become a little bit just like a business card. I mean, it's basically for us, I have my website, it's my portfolio, it's got, links to magazines I've been in and that kind of thing. But it really is just a living digital sort of business card. And so I think the number one driver of SEO is making sure that all of your other channels that you're reaching out to people are directing them to say, oh my gosh, I love this space. Let me see what else he does. I'm going to go to Thomas Guy Interiors, because I feel like nowadays when people are looking for an interior designer to hire, I don't know if they're like Googling interior designer in Lake Charles, Louisiana. They're on Instagram seeing what's getting the most traction and movement. And they say, oh my gosh, he's got this many followers. He must be good. And then they go to the website. So it's an interesting thing because websites nowadays are kind of evolving themselves. And so making sure that all of your different channels are pointing back to your website is where you can get people to see what you do, what magazines you've been in. And like I said, it becomes your like digital business card and portfolio.
Absolutely.
It's the top of the sales funnel. So all the social media, all of that's flying around, it should all be directing to the mouth of the funnel, which is your website.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah.
And I'll jump in really quickly with that too, because I think you're absolutely right. It's really validation for the client, the legitimacy of your business and how well you do. The other thing about SEO that I learned that I didn't know in the beginning was, it's like I had my website when I first started and it'd be like, oh, look, eight people visited today. Or then it would be like, one day it'd be like, oh, look, 16 people visited last month. And so there's just like nothing happening, right? So that's why I started the newsletter. And also piggybacking on what you said is like, you do not own any of your followers' information, and there's no way for them to necessarily find you. But if you have a website, and I have like a downloadable guide to creating sacred space with style is what it's called. It's like a 20-page PDF with all kinds of design and styling tips. Just 20 pages. Yeah. And it's just beautiful. It's beautiful. It's like, it could just be, here's a book. But if you kind of sign up to receive that for free, then you get added to my email list if you're interested, right? So then you build up your email list. Well, so then you'd want to stay engaged with these people because one, when it comes to referrals, even for say existing clients, they of course all sign up on my news list. Sometimes it's like staying in front of them so that they remember that you're there, or maybe it's been 5 years, but then you send the newsletter on Monday and then they run into a friend on Thursday that's like, yeah, I just bought a house and I need, oh my gosh, you should reach out to Josh. So you really are always wanting to stay kind of in front of your previous clients because referrals are our biggest driver of business. I mean, marketing and all that is great, but it is a referral-based business. So making sure that your clients are engaged with you even long after the project is important. And then the other last thing is having the newsletter that I do twice a month, Google is constantly scanning and searching for keywords and fresh content. So if your website is staying static, Google's ignoring it. But if you're doing a blog of some sort, and I use words that are important to me like sustainability, wellness, I often refer to home as a sanctuary, all these things that they're always in my copy, then Google is constantly circulating that. So when someone's kind of looking for, creating a sacred space, well, I pop up first because I continuously am talking about it. So that's how you engage the SEO and get that number up.
For sure.
And in your social media too, your hashtags, your keywords, and your captions, Google's looking at all of that.
We found we had a mistake that all of our projects, we called them like the cute cottage and then we realized we weren't saying where they were. So you've got to put the name of the town. So if somebody Googles, we're in Wayne, Pennsylvania. So if somebody Googles interior design, Wayne, Pennsylvania, we were not coming up because we were not putting that in our website. So it was a mistake we learned, we caught. And that's why I think SEO is really important.
For
if
sure.
It's a topic or it's a place.
Absolutely.
And then I was going to say your Google listing is also critical. So you need to make sure that your business listing is up to date and you want to basically get as many reviews on there and ask your clients. I do this. I say, if it's not going to be a 5-star review, kindly refrain. I mean, sorry, but hopefully they're all 5-star, but if they're not going to give me a 5-star, I really don't want it on Google.
If it's not 5 stars, don't.
Just don't.
Bug out. Leave
Yeah. I mean, and one other thing also is when you're typing in your website and you're trying to get it to rank higher, another way to get that is through shared links, inbound links, outbound links. And a lot of that is through PR, through sticker media, getting stories that link back to your website. That's a great driver of elevating your SEO and getting you to rank higher on that first page, which is where everyone wants their website to appear when they Google it. Okay, and Karen, if you're a new designer attending a conference like this for the first time, what is the most valuable piece of advice you'd offer them to maximize their experience from a networking perspective?
show up to panels. I'm just kidding. No, really, that is part of it. But I've been going to this market actually for almost, believe it or not, 25 years. I started going in my early 20s and it was one floor. And then I came back maybe 15 years later as a designer and I knew no one. I was petrified. It was not designer friendly. I was petrified to even talk to a rep. You know, I was afraid they were going to judge me. And if you're new, they don't know you. So the first thing I did was when I met my reps, I would tell them that I was in it for real, that this is not a passion project. I was very direct with them. I said, I'm in this for the long term. Take me seriously. So that's the first piece of advice I would say is get your reps on your side because they will invite you to things and then you'll start to get to know people. The other thing that I would recommend is joining groups beforehand, like Facebook groups, and finding out where people are meeting up. And the last thing that I did that was probably one of the most beneficial points in my career was hiring a business coach that has a large group, because that coach basically will introduce you to all of her her clients, I guess. And then you're at events with that and there's exposure through having that business coach as well. So you want to look for a coach that isn't necessarily just one-on-one, but has a community. And I interviewed quite a few business coaches about 7-8 years ago here at High Point to figure out who was the right match for me.
Great. Yeah, it's really hard, or it's really easy, to get kind of lost in the sauce at an event like this where there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And I think those are great ideas and tips to help really make it worthwhile to make the trip and investment to come out to a conference like this. Amber, from looking at partnerships now, how do you use partnerships to help your business grow?
I think it's kind of controversial sometimes to constantly tag your vendors or tag those that are not consumer facing. But I do it anyway because a lot of my following, they are going to constantly ask, oh, where is that from? Where's that from? And that's part of my my brand is my approach is having approachable design, affordability. And so if I am posting a living room and this item is from Westum or this light fixture is Visual Comfort, I'm tagging them because I want them to know I'm using their product. Whether I'm in a showroom every day or I'm just on social media, like I need them to know that I'm incorporating their work and they're seeing all the engagement, all the likes, like, oh my gosh, that reel got 6,000 likes. Who is this girl? So I don't shy away from sharing those brands. And so when they see that, they are engaging back with me. We see each other here at High Point, and they might want to have a meeting or have an email thread afterwards to talk about some future opportunities. So I just see it as expanding my community, and my reach is through publicizing or helping promote the brands that I use. I feel like it's a partnership, and it's something that like we both will benefit from, and my audience as well.
For sure. And how does that translate to your clients?
So a potential client may see my work and see some light fixture that they absolutely adore that they may not have been able to get on their own. So they're engaging with that. So they might send in an inquiry through my website based on that post. I would say a lot of my followers aren't necessarily potential clients. They're just kind of admiring or looking for inspiration or education. But others are like that friend of a friend or someone that is a repeat client and their cousin is moving to the Atlanta market and they need help with their new construction home. So I don't sell on my social media. I just share, and the right client is attracted by the work that they see.
Amazing. Thank you. And Amy, so we often hear the phrase, your network is your net worth. How do you leverage your network and your referrals to grow your business?
I think coming to events like this, being friends with your rep, going to any kind of an event where you live, whether it's a social mixer or I find one of the best networking opportunities is anything having to do with real estate agents. That I get so many referrals wherever the real estate agents are, at the beach or at our hometown. That's also a really good opportunity. I highly recommend everybody meet their local real estate agents. That getting referrals from them is really key for us.
Definitely.
So I was going to make a comment on that too. If you do something like a PDF, like the Sanctuary one or my Trends one, I did events where I actually shared my trend presentations with realtors in front of, Zoom presentations in front of 100 or 200 realtors at a time. So you could do a High Point Market wrap up, if you're coming here just as a designer, and then ask to present it in front of specified groups of people that you're trying to reach out to.
Definitely. That's great. Josh, what are some tactics and strategies that you've used to secure strategic partnerships?
I'm just giving away all my secrets. No, I'm very transparent. So as the common theme that you've heard is a relationship, right? It's a relationship building, and it's not like kind of going in and saying, "Hey, I want to do a deal." Like that's kind of a turnoff. I think what's important is to find brands that you love and that you use and that you incorporate, and then develop some loyalty to those brands. And then I think as you support them, I actually I heard a panel, was it last year? And it was about licensing deals. And some of the companies were saying they want to partner with people who are promoting them on Instagram and that are participating in helping them grow their business, because it is a collaboration. So like, for example, I'm relatively new at licensing and building those kind of relationships, but it's kind of being here at market and saying hello and finding out who's head of sales and then having these conversations. And then, for example, I went and toured their facility and got to know some of the people there. And then they asked some opinions about, they were trying to do a couple of different products and they were trying to decide which one was the best to launch and wanted a designer's perspective. And so it's like these kind of warming things up. And then eventually those kind of things evolve into these conversations about collaborations or licensing deals. And that's how I would say to go about it.
Absolutely. That's a great point. Like it is definitely relationship based. And a lot of times if you're looking just for a quick, let's make this happen, that is going to be a major turnoff to a lot of the bigger brands that you want to work with. Yeah. For sure. Lance, what do you think is the biggest misconception about public relations?
So I think for me, the biggest misconception is the idea that public relations equals more money immediately. Like you do this and all of a sudden you're like rolling in cash. And I think that's not necessarily the case. It doesn't all necessarily mean that you're going to be people knocking down your door to work with you. I mean, that happens. But I think what I keep in mind is what public relations has really helped me with. I'm from a small town. Is it's given me the expertise and the clout. So in Southwest Louisiana, I am the sort of designer guy because public relations has gotten me the magazines and all those things. So now I'm not having to necessarily work harder. I can charge more. My fees are more. I can, mark things up differently. So it allows me to be more successful and make more money on a job basis, not necessarily having to take on 30 more jobs. You can actually be more selective with your jobs once you have the clout and the expertise from a public relations team. So I don't have to go out and find 20 jobs. I do 10 and then that's it. And I can still do that because I can charge more for those smaller jobs.
And they're your ideal client.
Exactly.
Your dream clients.
It's funny because I do a very different business base for my design firm. I only design X amount of square feet at a time. That may be 4 houses, 2 houses, 1 house. It doesn't matter to me, but I know that I can manage 20,000 square feet of creative mind juice towards a job. And public relations has allowed me to drop that number down. I can now only have to do 10,000 square feet at a time and still make just as much money because I can charge more for those services. So the biggest misconception is that public relations will equal like 1,000 more jobs. You may not need it to do that. You may be a way to just make more money by doing less jobs.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Did you want to?
Yeah, I'll jump in there really quickly because I'm relatively new to working with a PR company. I've been in business and have my own firm for about 10 years. And what I found, and I did a pretty good job of like making contacts and connections. Luckily, I was in New York where there was, a lot of the magazines and places. But what I would find is like I would meet someone at an event, an editor, right? And they're like, oh yeah, let's collaborate, or you can do a piece or pick a paint color or whatever. And then 3 weeks later, I email them and they're gone, right? And so they're constantly moving and changing their locations. So kind of knowing who and when to contact for what. And again, that can become this whole other full-time job that's keeping me from doing what I do best, which is working with my team to generate sales, to bring in income. So in the past 14 months, just for like a little case study, right? So I went from being like, nobody knew who I was to having like 4 things coming out in magazines this year. I have was named Emerging Designer of the Year by California Home and Design Magazine, which
And you live in Vermont.
and I live in Vermont, like I was the only person, but I work a lot in California, so that qualified me. It qualified me.
So
But
sweet is what you make.
no, I do a lot of work in Palm Springs, LA, and Carbell. But yeah, so it's like if it wasn't for a team that knows about all these things to present you for, then no one would ever know. And like recently I was referred to something, they're like, the prolific designer Joshua Smith. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what that means. But
What does that mean?
I'm like, I didn't know what that means, but I was like, I'll take it. Prolific, I love it. So that's just like a kind of an example. And then the other thing I will say that's happened recently is, it's not always about getting a project put in print, but it's about being seen as an expert in the industry. And so even the inquiries that come from editors always writing content, and now with the web, like they can't create enough content to stay relevant. So there's always stories, and the PR companies have these relationships that then they reach out and say, hey, so-and-so's doing a piece on so-and-so. Do you want to contribute some of your opinions and see if they use them? Well, a lot of mine have gotten used. And when people click on my name, they get taken to my website. And in the past 6 months, I've gotten 2 major projects from people who just happened to see an article, clicked on my name, and then reached out to me. So
Amazing.
that would have never happened without a PR company.
Absolutely.
And those people that the PR company gets you in touch with, will continue to work with you. So like I travel to France every year to buy a container of antiques. And so I'm like literally at the antique fairs shopping for chairs, and the Wall Street Journal calls me and is like, hey, quick question. I've got to put out this piece real quick. I was wondering if you had any advice on antique chairs. And I was like, well, funny you should ask. I'm actually sitting on some right now. But, you know, you don't know. It doesn't. Once you establish that relationship and your public relations team gets you those relationships, it doesn't always have to like go straight through the publicist to get to me. They'll call you up. I mean, the Wall Street Journal was just like, oh, by the way. And I was like, okay, well, actually, do you need a picture? I'll take a picture of the antique too. So it's constantly containing and maintaining that sort of relationship, and it's fantastic. So always answer.
I'll be good real quick.
Okay.
Reel me in if you need to. Cut me, I'll be like 1 minute. You get a 1 minute warning. No. I was going to say also that just happened to me recently where I did a story about a paint color, and this is a relationship business. It's a relationship with your clients. It's a relationship with vendors, and it's a relationship with press. So of course, you know, I have fun, right? I'm not doing this if I'm not having fun, so I don't take it so seriously. So in these conversations and in these interviews where they're asking me about an article they're writing, we end up having a great time on the phone call. And so in the past 2 months, there's been several that have called and said, hey, I'm working on a piece about ceiling fans. And I know you don't use ceiling fans, but do you have any opinions on those? And so then I end up doing a story for the Wall Street Journal that's coming out on ceiling fans, right? Those things never would have happened, but you establish these relationships with these editors that are working on pieces, and they know that you're going to be a great source for them. So then they continue to come back to you.
For sure.
So, but without the introduction from the PR company, then once that happens, it's up to you to nurture those relationships.
Absolutely. Like the biggest thing I could say about public relations, like Lance, like you were saying, it's not going to lead directly to sales. But what it does is it increases credibility and it raises awareness. It puts you in front of an audience that you wouldn't have been in front of before. So in turn, that could lead to sales, but it's not a direct connect. But the awareness and the credibility factors are huge and can't really be understated.
No. I was going to share more secrets.
Well, hold that for 1 second. Karen, while we're talking about public relations, kind of along this vein here, can you talk a little bit about when it makes sense to get regional versus national press?
So if we're not done with PR, so regional, I get a lot of regional press. And, you know, initially, like I think the misconception with PR is that you need national, that PR agency is meant to give you either print press or national press. But I think what we're hearing from everybody here is how much more publicity or a PR agency can do for you. So for me, getting regional press, I've gotten at least probably 8 to 10 jobs in the last 2 years from regional press. And I find that the same magazines are printing me, like to the point where I'm like, they're going to think that I'm paying for these spots in these magazines. I'm embarrassed at this point, but you know, they seem to like my work, and my photographer is lenient enough to allow like either a lower fee or she will lower her fee for regional magazines. So when you also on that topic, when you're working with a photographer, you need to, if you can't own your photography, you do need to speak with your photographer initially and say, you know, what level of marketing will you allow that I don't have to have somebody pay for? Typically, you can own it for your own website or for your own marketing materials, but hopefully you find a partner with a photographer that will share to some level so she's supporting you as a brand. And then as far as national is concerned, I've had a few national hits. It's certainly wonderful. It's, you know, great for your ego, but it does not feed you business. And it also, though, could help if you are doing the branding side. So it helps support you as a brand.
Absolutely.
National press is the clout. That's the shiny sort of thing, carrot that you can dangle and say, this is my fees now because I've been in Southern Home or been in Wall Street Journal or whatever. It's the local press that if you're looking to get more clients, make more money per client, the local press is where the money is. And then national is the bells and the whistles.
For sure.
Yeah. I would say I can't stress enough hiring a professional photographer. And I've never had to pay for my images. You should find a photographer that part of the fee is you own all of your own images.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Were you going to add on to that?
Well, no, I mean that is our job. People is a visual. That is what people see. That's what we do. So having good photography to hit all of these channels is like super crucial.
For sure. And Amber, now we're going to switch back off of PR for a second.
Well, I was gonna say on the PR note though, like, so I just was on cover of a national magazine this month. Y'all are sweet, thank you. And designers today. But the show house that I did in December was local in Atlanta, and of course there's thousands of interior designers in Atlanta, right? So you're like kind of, I don't see it as competition, but you have a lot of competition. So a PR company could look at me and say, okay, she's the color queen. She needs to be known as the color queen in Atlanta, or she's going to do this show house and we need to help promote her participation in the show house. And I've gotten I was told that. I was like, you won't get clients from the show house, but I've gotten clients that walk through my space in the show house in Atlanta. So even though, yes, the clout, the national, it makes you feel good, it makes you cry, but the regional and even the local things, that's what pays the bills a lot of times.
Completely, 100%. All right, so switching back to social media really quickly. How do you leverage social media to showcase your projects and your work?
I feel like, and I know some people cringe at social media, but I feel like it's the easiest way to show off your work, especially Instagram. If you're an interior designer that's not on Instagram or Pinterest, I don't really know what you're waiting for. Like, you have the website. It's very, to me, it's very low entry because you already have the pictures of your work. Even if you are a beginner and maybe you're not paying for photography yet, beautiful pictures from your iPhone. Put them on your Instagram feed. Before and after is like, I'm a hashtag person, so I'm like, Transformation Tuesday, Wallpaper Wednesday, and I'll post a hashtag and tag the brand, and people engage with that. And I just feel like it's so easy to show your work, but also don't forget to show yourself. People want to know the human behind the work. A lot of times, people don't want to talk on camera or do a reel, and you don't have to do, the electric slide and all this stuff. Like, you don't have to be that person on Instagram, but you can easily say, hi, let me introduce myself. There's about 500 more followers here. Here's who I am. Here's where I'm based. Here's my aesthetic. Before and after pictures are great. One of the easiest, this is a cheat code, I think, easy way to get some video and some reels on your Instagram is to just take your iPhone. If you don't have an iPhone, maybe Android can do this, but you put your phone up while you're like putting up a gallery wall or hanging curtains or something, and turn it on time lapse and let it record you. And then you have this 30-minute video that is now a 30-second video. Throw some music over that thing. Put like a couple hashtags and a sentence on there and post it. And you would be amazed how many people are engaged by that. So I think it's very crucial to be on social media. Yes, Instagram might disappear tomorrow. Yes, you should absolutely have a mailing list with all of your followers, hopefully that have signed up on MailChimp or whatever. But you want to be seen, and that's where the people are on social.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. And Amy, how has incorporating events into your marketing strategy helped raise awareness for both your design and retail businesses? Events
like this? Well,
events like this, or events in your store?
It's great for content. Always photographing and recording any kind of an event. Seasonal events, things like Wallpaper Wednesday. The flat lays, we call them flat lays, where you take the fabrics and put them out and take pictures of that. We do that a lot. Yeah. Yep.
Amazing.
And we at our store, for sure, once a month have a cocktail party for realtors. I know we kind of mentioned that as well. And we also do designers. We do Thomas Guy After Dark, and we have every local designer. We reach out in Lafayette and Beaumont, anything within an hour radius, we have them there. We bring out the music, the booze, show them the showroom, and we get after having to not do as much work. I'd rather someone come in as a designer, buy all of my stuff, and go bring it to their own clients. And that's just a passive income that we just sit back and enjoy. And so those sort of events in your local community are really beneficial to your sort of brand.
Amazing. Thank you. Josh, okay, we're going to talk a little bit about licensing.
More secrets.
More secrets. We're asking you to spill more secret sauce. So if you're structuring a licensing partnership with a brand, what should you know about the length of the agreements or royalties, and how much is it really possible for designers to make money from these types of deals?
Wow. Okay, so again, relatively new to this, but I've been gaining traction quickly with these things because there was something that was, on my vision board. So I'm learning about it as I'm going through it, but having just signed my first licensing deal and going through that process of you initially have the conversations, and then you kind of go to what's called a term sheet where you kind of list out what all these terms are going to be. And then from there, it gets turned into, an agreement by their attorney. And then you have to get, and then they were like, the PR company was like, you should have your attorney review this. I'm like, I don't have an attorney. So then you get one, very important, have someone on your side. Right. Yeah. But especially being new, you want someone definitely that knows about kind of what's standard, what's not standard, what's fair, what's not fair, so that you're not making or underselling yourself in your time. Because in many cases, depending on which company you're doing it, it's like if the product's not really moving, it's not really a moneymaker. It's more for just brand identity. But in some cases, it can definitely be valuable. And so, you want to work with a company that's going to be willing to share in compensation, that's going to be willing to spend marketing dollars to help promote your line once it is launched. You kind of want to be familiar with what the launch strategy of that is going to be. And then in terms of length, for example, the one that I did, it's a 3 collection deal, 1 dropping each year. But after the first year of us working together, either one of us can terminate, right? And what was I going to say? I'm never at a loss for words. So the timing of that is 3 years. But what I was going to say is I know other people who have done licensing deals with certain companies that are maybe larger or very well known. They do a lot in hospitality, and there is potential there for sure. Meaning, say this particular person that I know, they've done 5 collections over 5 years with this one brand. And every month they collect a royalty check of about $20,000, which is passive income, right? So I think you're hearing a lot about how important it is to have, in this day and age, you have to have multi-channels of revenue, because our operating expenses for our company and having to have help to support with what we're doing is expensive too. So having this other income coming in is great.
Amazing. Thank you. Lance, how has your company benefited from leveraging PR as a sales tool?
So I think I kind of dabbled in it a little bit, but I think the public relations for us, we're from a very small town. We are looking to make the most from the little bit of leads that we get in a smaller town. And so I think, like I said, the ability to charge more and the ability to sort of make more money per job is 100% a direct link to our social media, our public relations, our press, and all the good things that, we can kind of dangle in front and say, look at me. And I think it gives a credibility so that you can also creatively take more chances with spaces. I think a lot of clients have more trust in me as a designer because they've seen me in the magazines. And so whenever I want to do something that may be a little off kilter, my whole thing is traditional with bite. And so whenever I'm ready to bite, nowadays, because of public relations, I have that creative freedom to really go out there and to swing for the fences. And so that's just one of those things from a sort of being happy doing what you do sort of standpoint. The public relations has allowed me to really take more creative chances because clients have more trust in me. So that's sort of one of those things other than money that has really been helpful.
Amazing. Thank you. And then Karen, from a marketing perspective, what's the biggest upside to having both a store and a design firm?
So, my store, here's the skinny. The store is really not that profitable, but it's a marketing tool. Absolutely, I view it as a way to stay relevant and current in front of my customer base And I have a ton of events in my store. I wasn't speaking about it before because that is one of the purposes. We have charcuterie events. We have floral design events. I've had reps come in and do color, like Sherwin-Williams has come in. Philip Jeffries for wallpaper has come to my store, and the reps are presenting to the end user rather than to designers. And we've had huge turnouts for events like that have been very attractive. And it's just constant news that you can keep feeding to your customers. It's also local love. So through my store, I'm able to build a community and give back to the community, especially through schools. And we do a lot of donations to various different charities that are looking for support. And we try to change that monthly or even bi-monthly to bring the community together. And I use my store as an educational forum because I've been in the industry. I have PR that has promoted me as an expert in the industry. I've gained the credibility at this point. So it is a great venue for me to be able to teach those around me what I know. And so sometimes I'll have a styling event, how to style a bar cart, how to style a table. So things along those lines.
Amazing. Did you want to add on?
Oh, so I have a retail store too. And I would say it's great because people come in, they get to meet us, they can see our style, they can sit in things. We get stocking dealer pricing. It's great visibility. It is probably one of our best marketing tools is the visibility from the retail store.
Yeah. I mean, from a retailer here at Market, huge benefit to having a retail store. So I've been able to move at least probably 5 to 7 accounts from designer net to stocking retailer just by having a storefront.
It makes a big difference.
Huge
It's a
difference.
big difference.
Your price, your profit margins completely change. You're not buying at designer pricing anymore. The other interesting thing is it's a living, breathing portfolio for me.
Yeah.
So I'm always changing that space out. And a lot of times someone coming in looking for a dining table sees my dining room vignette and says, oh my gosh, I like the chairs, the rug, the chandelier, the buffet. And before I know it, that entire vignette has been completely sold and moved. Yeah. And it's like, I'm ready to go. And a lot of designers come in and they love my style as well. And so they'll come in and they'll buy the vignette and I say, take credit for it. Go for it, sister. Bring that to your client. And that is, say you did it. It doesn't matter to me, but it's a great way to have that living, breathing portfolio. And the one other thing that I do is it's also my oopsie spot. So
Exactly.
whenever I do a custom piece of furniture for a client, I get it in and all of a sudden they say, oh, well, I didn't realize the seat back, my husband's shoulder blade rubs it the wrong way or whatever it may be. And I have the ability to either do a restocking fee or just put it on my floor. And the next day a designer comes in and they end up buying it. So I can also take a little bit more chances, a little more risks because I do have sort of my little, I call it the furniture graveyard in the back that I can resell so I allow myself to take some more chances when I'm designing a space because I do have a little bit of a fallback plan. So my retail store has also become a little bit of that as well.
Amazing. Great. Well, thank you guys all very much. This rock star group of panelists, they're all either current or former design partnership clients. We absolutely love working with all of you guys. And I'm going to give you guys each a second to give your shameless plugs, where people can follow you, what they should know about what you guys have going on, and all that good stuff.
Questions?
For sure. Do you guys want to go through real quick and then we'll turn it over for questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Amber Guyton, Blessed Little Bungalow, at Blessed Little Bungalow everywhere on Instagram, website blessedlittlebungalow.com. Again, I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm an e-designer and content creator. I'm kind of all over the place, including High Point. So thanks for having me.
Amy Forshoe, Proximity Interior Design, based in Wayne, Pennsylvania.
Joshua Smith Inc. Instagram handle is at Joshua Smith Inc. because of course Smith. I mean, good luck. So it's at Joshua Smith Inc. INC. And my website is joshuasmithinc.com. And what else was I going to say? I was just going to say recap. The other thing that I wanted to say, just one last little tip, just to kind of like tie it all together, is like all these different things sound like a ton of work, which they are, but there's this phrase called cross-pollination, right? Which you've heard us all talk about. It's like the content you use for here can then be repurposed in the newsletter, can then be repurposed. So just kind of know that that's always an option too. That's it.
And I'm Lance Thomas of Thomas Guy Interiors, and all the the hashtaggy things. It's just thomasguyinteriors.com, all that good stuff. I'm based out of Louisiana with a potential future in Dallas, Texas.
Amazing.
Karen Wolf at K&Co Living, and everything matches because that's what it's supposed to do, hopefully. And my Instagram actually was hacked, but you can all follow me.
Amazing. Thank you. All right, everyone. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks
We
so
appreciate
much.
you guys
Yeah.
coming out.